right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Launch Button Podcast, where we bring entrepreneurs, successful business owners, real estate investors here to show you their journey to success, because everybody has a different journey on how they launch out of their corporate jobs, out of their careers, and where they want to go in the future, because we all have that passion inside of us. And whatever that happens to be for you, we're going to help bring that out. My name is Hugh Zaretski. I'm your host here today, and we've got the wonderful, talented Marlo Perez, speaking coach, entrepreneur, successful business owner that now helps other speakers get to that next level in their business as they go through this. But Marla, you didn't start out that way. So how did you start out? And let's talk a little bit about that journey, because a lot of our listeners are on that journey to success, and we know it's not a straight road. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Hugh. And my name is Marlo Perez, and I get people to remember that by I get you to be hot off the press. So that is my actual name, my original name that my family gave me, and I just love it. I use it in so many ways. So that's one way to be memorable. But my journey, like many of you out there listening, I'm sure, it was not a straight line. It was zigzag, zigzag, a little bit of a full circle, but a lot of zigzag. And I'm going to say this in the beginning and probably again at the end. If I have one message for you out there listening, don't wait. Yeah, don't wait. Because I waited. It was sort of like I had this little whisper in my ear, and then it was sort of an elbow nudge, and then it was a 2x4 over the head. And then, me being the stubborn person I am, it still took me a while after that. So my passion started out, I love theater. So I've been on, and I love dance. So I've been on stages really since I was 5, just being in plays. A clown must have recognized that, because when I was 5, a clown, because I sat towards the front row, took me on stage in the circus. So, hey, it started way back then. But my family loved Broadway shows, so I was always going to theater, and then I was in theater myself. So I was used to being on a stage, and I love the arts, but I also kind of love performing. And I had to learn that you can't just perform. That to be an exceptional speaker, I really have to teach people how to perform, because most people hold back so much, they don't perform enough. My problem is I was performing too much, and I had to pull it back and say, okay, I have to be that V word. I have to be more vulnerable and connect to my audience and receive my audience, and not just be the performer.
Nice. And so not being the performer, not doing that, having to rein yourself back in, right, a little bit on that stage, how do you bring that out of other people? Because for most people, they're afraid of being on the stage. They don't want to be on the stage, right? But how do you bring that out of other people?
Yeah, great question. And some people, it's easier than others, right? Because the number one fear is public speaking. So what I do, the magic of what I do is these exercises, for lack of a better word. Some people think I don't want to exercise. That doesn't sound like fun. But I take you through these transformations that change people like that. It's amazing. And so for an example, people are more afraid of being too much on stage than not enough. And a lot of times they'll go out there and they won't risk being more, because they don't want to risk looking silly or being judged. If you kind of hold back, people don't have much to judge you about, and you're not taking risks.
Right.
So what I do is I create this safe environment where I encourage people by giving them specific traits to try on. It's not a role play. It's them in front of our safe group that we create in my speaker programs. And some people need to be more funny. Some people need to be more serious. Some people need to be more bossy. Some people need to be more authoritative. Some
Right.
people, there's so many different characteristics and enthusiasm. People think, oh, if I'm too enthusiastic, people are going to think I'm crazy and I won't be professional. Well, that's not true. People want you to be enthusiastic. They want you to be passionate, and it's contagious. And when you experience it and then you get the feedback, it wasn't too much. It was way better than the first time you spoke. It really lands with them because they experience what that's like instead of talking about it.
Well, and that's the biggest thing, right? Being on stage, sometimes you got to be a little bigger to get your message across, depending on the audience. Now, if it's a small group, you got to be smaller. If it's a bigger group, right, you've got to be a little bit more over the top to get the message all the way to that back row. And I think a lot of people are afraid of that. Is that what you found?
Yeah, that's very true. Being in a Zoom square versus being on a big stage versus being in a smaller group all have nuances. But the main thing is, for most of us, we need to expand who we are, to be more of yourself. So you're not trying to be like somebody else, even if it's a successful speaker. You're trying to be yourself, which makes you interesting, but be more of your quirky self, your vulnerable self, your really authentic self. Now, that's an overused word, but it's true. If you're really in this authentic place, which I get people into through, again, an exercise, where you get into not just your heart space, but what I call your home space in this deep part of your body. When you learn how to transfer your energy out of your head that's all cluttered with so much information, and you get into this full body presence, then you're magnetic. And you don't even have to be super high energy, but this full presence is magnetic in itself.
That's a huge point right there, guys. So being in that full presence, speaking from your gut, because so many people speak from when they get on stage, right, that higher level, and it doesn't resonate with the audience, right? It doesn't connect with them. We just had this with a new speaker down in Atlanta, and I was like, "Do you always talk from up here? Like, go ahead and talk." And then I had to listen to him, right? So how do you get people to speak more from that gut that carries more of the certainty, more of the weight behind it that's delivered to the audience versus just speak from the upper levels of their chest?
Yeah, so there's two parts to that. One is the voice itself. So I get people to, again, play with, experiment with speaking from this head voice versus your chest voice versus this just real magnetic, fabulous home space, again, is what I call it, this inner part of your body. So there's the voice, but then there's the energy itself. And it's not something you can intellectualize about. I guide you through how to do this so you experience it, and then people really get it. It's this whole visualization, and it takes maybe 10 minutes to go into real depth with it, but it changes people immediately. And it helps in all aspects of your life. It helps with every conversation and every relationship.
Awesome. We see you got lots of awards up there from helping speakers and lots of different things. Now, but you didn't start out that way. Your very first job, as you shared your fun fact with me, was working, right? Way back in the day. She's already laughing for those of you guys online that can't see this. She's already laughing.
I'm laughing. There's so many reasons. This is just crazy. First of all, so I got a degree in psychology, and at 22, I come out of college, and the school itself, which is a great university, University of Colorado, said, "Oh, we have this job for you. It's helping the prison psychologist in this all-male adult federal prison." I thought, cool. I'm so interested in psychology and social issues. And I went for the interview, and they said, actually, we need you to be a prison guard. And then they asked me all these questions, and somehow I agreed, but it was very dangerous. So I'm really good at dealing with difficult situations and badass. I mean, there were rapists and murderers, and I was locked inside with no protection with 120 men and just me overnight.
It's not crazy to think
And
that you were put in that
they were
situation.
not locked up. They were not even locked up. Some of them, they were locked in the building, but they were roaming around. Oh, I have a lot of stories there, but we won't get into that. But yeah, has anybody not want to kept their first job? I mean, that's like, okay, been there, done that. But then I actually, I did counseling for people and did a lot of life coaching for people and worked on some very serious issues and was very successful with that. But just insurance issues and a zig and zag in my life, I went into dental hygiene.
Oh, well, that's a big change.
Yeah, that is a huge change. And I love nutrition. I love health. I love prevention, but I thought it was going to be temporary. In fact, they asked me to go to dental school because my grades and everything, my test scores were so high. And I said, no, thanks. I'm just going to do this for a little while. And, you know, my mom was a hygienist and my stepfather was a dentist. And I thought this will be temporary. But I did that for decades. And the great thing about it was that I could do it part-time. And so in the meantime, I wrote books. I took more certifications for life coaching. I started speaking more. I did practice management consulting. Is there anything I didn't do? I don't know. It was so much. It was so much. And so when I say I got the nut, my passion, I mean, my passion is to use my intelligence and my creativity because it is so strong. And even though I love the medical part and dental hygiene and the patients, it wasn't fulfilling for me. And it was so beneath my potential. And not that it's not a great job, because it is. And I was highly trained in that. But so, you know, I wanted to do something else, and just all these nudges kept happening. The 2x4 was COVID. I couldn't work.
Okay. You were stuck at home.
Dental offices shut down. We were not allowed to work. And so that was sort of my final 2x4. Like, okay, if you're not going to quit, then you're going to get hit over the head with this pandemic. So you can't go into the office. And that's just so typical for my life. But that was a real, you know, eye opener that, okay, it's time. And so what I love about public speaking coaching is I bring in my psychology background. I trained very highly in the art of presence. So I'm a certified teacher in that. And that's where I get a lot of this amazing energy work from. And then I do more important typical techniques like your compelling story and your pitch, and, you know, how to chunk your material, how to use pauses, how to use your body language to be congruent, all that good stuff. But my passion is really to help people transform their energy. So I almost call myself a public speaking life coach. It's one word, public speaking life coach, because it's so wrapped in together. The psychology and the speaking. There's so much about us expressing ourselves that has to do with your psychology. Can you tell I'm passionate about it? I don't know.
Just a little bit. And guys, in the podcast, if you're getting lots of good information on here, just go ahead and hit the L, hit the hearts, hit the likes here for that, because, you know, it's great to see. I always love seeing people transform. And this is another way that people can transform to reach that higher level. And being on stage, you know, is one of the biggest fears. Warren Buffett said it. You know, if there's one skill that he mastered earlier in life, and that would have been public speaking, right? To be able to get out there and just talk to people from that stage and be able to do that and get your message across succinctly, because a lot of people get on that stage and they just tell rambling stories, right? Which doesn't really help the audience. It helps them, but getting that message to them in the right way that they can understand it.
It's not about the speaker. It's not about you. It's about your audience. I mean, that's really the goal, is to give something valuable to your audience and help them transform. And there's an art to it. So people say, well, just practice. And if you're excited, you know, if you're scared, just tell yourself you're excited. I don't so much believe in that. I believe you really need to learn these good techniques in order to be not just a mediocre speaker, but a great speaker.
Right. And that's the difference, right? It's those little fine points that raise you to that next level of where you want to be and that opportunity for you. So as we go to wrap up here, and again, guys, you're getting lots of good hearts, likes, appreciate that all in the chat there. And we like to keep that going for everybody. And we'll definitely bring Marla out in the future to talk about more little tips and tricks for being on stage as we come out of COVID. because a lot of people, we've been doing live events all across the country, but a lot of people are still hiding behind the Zoom room, hiding back there. And a lot of people need to get out there in front of people, start to make those presentations, start to master those skills. But as we go to wrap up here, is there a quote or a little tip you have for people to be able to just get them to take that next step in their business, get out there and, do the next thing that they want to do?
Yeah. So speaking is the fastest and simplest way to build a business. It is so important. It is the best thing you can do. And everybody can do it for free. You can do a social media live. You can do a video anywhere. You can do so many things that don't take a lot of your time and energy. And just remember that you know something that other people don't. You don't have to know everything. And some people go, I don't know enough. You don't have to know everything. You have one jewel to give people, and speak up and share that goal.
Awesome. Well, you heard it right there. Speak up, share your goal. You just need that one golden nugget to share with somebody to change their life. So we appreciate you guys all being here today on the Launch Button. We're going to have lots of great information for you to get a hold of Marla and be able to get some of the information that she has with her courses and some of the different trainings here in the future. So be on the lookout for that in the show notes so you guys have those opportunities, and we will see everybody soon. And just remember, keep speaking, keep trying. Like she said, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever it happens to be, just take one more step to success so that you can end up where you want to be in life. And it's the fastest way. And it's one of the skills that most people want to master, but are a little bit afraid of. So take the leap and launch your business to the next level. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see everybody soon. Thank you very much, Marla. And we're off to the races. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Launch Button Podcast, your gateway to unlocking your true potential and pursuing your passions. Don't let the journey end here. For more empowering insights, valuable resources, exclusive content, and free giveaways, visit www.thelaunchbuttonpodcast.com.